Recording in progress.
Hare Krishna. Will begin with Magyanatimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Savapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudavadikamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavasya Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sagana Raghunathanditam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Bala Sagana Dalita Shri Vishaka Nitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabhagyo Jagatpade Gopesha Gopita Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमः विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नित्यनामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणी निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणी जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, we are discussing from Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 3. We are on chapter 21. So far we have discussed, Maitreya Muni is describing Vidurji, the dynasty of Swayambhuva Manu. Before that, as he started describing the secondary creation, he started with the creation of the Kumaras. Brahmaji created Kumaras. First, what was the first thing which was created by Brahmaji? Even before Kumaras?
All the
five types of ignorance was created. Moha, Tamishra, Andhatamishra, Moha, Mahamoha, and Tamishra, Andhatamishra, Moha, Mahamoha, or yes, ignorance. Okay. So then after that, 4 Kumaras were created. They were given this service of procreation. They refused. Lord Shiva was created. Lord Shiva, he started procreating. Then the progeny started destroying the creation itself. Then Brahmaji said, "Bas ho gaya, we have to, you go and do tapasya in the forest. Whenever we need you, we'll call you." Then Brahmaji created 10 Prajapatis, all the great rishis, Kashyapatri, and all that. Still, the the population was not increasing as Brahmaji was thinking. Swayambhu Manu appeared and Shatrupa appeared. So Swayambhu Manu, as he appeared, he asked, "Can you tell me where should I put my progenies? Because the Bhumandal is not there. It is in the ocean." As Brahmaji is thinking what to do, Lord Varahadev appears, and then Maitreya Muni describes 2 Varaha. Which one? Shvetavaraha and Nilvaraha. So Shvetavaraha appeared in Chakshush, Swayambhuva Manvantara, Nilvaraha appeared in Chakshush Manvantara. So I think 14th chapter describes about the Shvetavaraha, then 15 to 19 chapter something describes about Nilvaraha, the killing of Hiranyaksha. उसके बीच में पूरा story हो गया हो. That is how it is described. And then after this, Vidurji, he asks another question in the beginning of the 21st chapter. Can you please tell me more about the dynasty of Swayambhuva Manu? Because the Swayambhuva Manu's dynasty is very esteemed. What was so glorious about Swayambhuva Manu? Why he asked about Swayambhuva Manu?
Because Lord appeared.
Sorry?
The Lord had appeared in Manu dynasty.
Okay, Lord appeared, and all the dynasty was full. The dynasty was full of devotees of the Lord. Vamshah Parama Sammataha. That is the first verse of that 21st chapter. The most esteemed, and Param Sammata means they were all devotees of the Lord. So that's how he's asking, can you please tell me? Because Swayambhu Manu was तस्यां स वै महायोगी युक्तायां योग लक्षणै ससर्ज कतिधा वीर्यं तन्मे शुश्रूषवे वद. So he's asking, can you please tell me about Devahuti and Kardam also, the dynasty of Swayambhu Manu, 3 sons and 2 daughters. 3 daughters and 2 sons. So Kardam Muni was Mahayogi and Devahuti was Yoga Lakshana. Can you please tell me about them? How did they increase the dynasty? And then can you please tell me about Ruchi and Ruchi was married to whom?
She was married to
Ruchi was married to Akuti. And Daksha was married to Prasuti. So can you please tell me about them also? So then as he asked the questions, Maitreya Muni, he starts describing the story of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. So Brahma, he asked Kardama Muni, please produce progeny. And to produce progeny, he performed tapasya for 10,000 years on the banks of Saraswati. And in the 7th verse was described, he worshipped the Lord through devotional meditation. Tata samadhi uktena, I've started the recording, right? Yeah. Tata samadhi uktena kriya yogena kartamaha samprapede harim bhaktya prapanna vardasham. Tata samadhi yuktena, by worship through devotional service in trance, kriya yogena, during that period of penance, tej kartama samprapede, he propitiated, that means he worshipped the Supreme Lord, Harim Bhaktya, with devotion. Although external process was Ashtanga Yoga, but it was full of devotion. And it is a fact, and we all know, without adding devotional service, none of the processes give result. Whoever may be, whatever they may try. Bhakti is the active ingredient which catalyzes all the other reactions, either karma or jnana or yoga. An example is given about jnana is useless if bhakti is not there. Anyone remembers what is the example? If somebody is practicing jnana, but if bhakti is not there, it is useless effort as if
putting over the ashes.
beating the empty husks of rice. Nothing will come out. So that is what Brahmaji says. Shreya sritim bhakti mudasyate vibho. Klishyanti. Only result will be klishyanti. Dukhi milega. Tesham ashau kleshale eva shishyate. The path is troublesome, the end is also troublesome. Where Krishna says this in Bhagavad Gita, anyone remembers that? The path of impersonal liberation is troublesome and the end is also troublesome. Bhagavad Gita Krishna says that. Klesho.
क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम्
Again.
अव्यक्तसक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्त ही गतिर्दुःखं देहवाक्यभाव
अधिकतर क्लेश होता है उसमें क्लेशो अधिकतर तेषाम. And those who are attached to avyakta, those who are attached to impersonal Brahman, the path is troublesome and avyakta hi gati dukkham. Gati is also dukkha only. There is no much satisfaction there. Of course, all this is when it is compared to bhakti. When it is taken isolated way, Brahmanand is much more peaceful than Jada Ananda. It is unlimited times more blissful. But when it's compared to bhakti, it is insignificant. So that is what it is described. Samprapede harim bhaktya prapanna varadashusham. So he is the quick bestower of all the blessings. Varadashusham. Whoever surrenders to him, Lord shows all mercy and benedictions to that devotee. So So we'll continue from the 8th verse.
Jadananda means
Happiness of this world.
just this material world, isn't it?
Yes.
Brahmananda is Brahmana.
Happiness of heaven and earth, both are jada only. Jada means happiness derived from the material things. So either a heavenly happiness or the earthly happiness. Both are insignificant. Although heavenly happiness is much more than earthly happiness, but still, in comparison to Brahmananda, it is insignificant. So now, Kardamuni, he is doing tapasya, and then the Lord appears in front of Kardamuni. The beauty of the Lord is described. 8, 9, 10, 11. 4 verses describes the darshan which the Lord gives to Kardamuni. Tavat prasanno bhagavan
Tavat prasanno Bhagavan
pushkaraksha
Rashtrakrite
Dashayamastam
Yamasatam
Shabdam Brahma Tadadvapu.
Brahma
The lotus-eyed Supreme Personality of Godhead briefly showed himself to that Kardama Muni and displayed his transcendental form, which can be understood only through the Vedas.
Tavat prasanno bhagavan. So the Lord was very pleased. Pushkaraksha, the lotus-eyed Lord. So he appeared in Satya Yuga. So this story is happening in Satya Yuga. So Pushkar-eyed Lord, he was situated in the sky only. Shabda Brahma Dadad Vapuhu. So that Lord who is understood only by the Veda. Shabdam Brahma Dadad Vapuhu. He exhibited his transcendental form. So Prabhupada writes, 2 points are significant. First is that Kardamuni performed the practice in the Satya Yuga, not in Kali Yuga, when people would live for 100,000 years. And Kardamuni achieved success, and the Lord showed him his form, which is not imaginary. So again, Prabhupada brings out the point that Lord's form is not imaginary, it is the actual form of the Lord. So the Lord appeared with a beautiful garland that is described in the next verse. Satam virajam markabham
Satam
Satam Viratam Markadam
sitpadmotpalasrajam
Padmo Padam
Vaktrabjam virajombaram.
Kardamuni saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is free from material contamination. In his eternal form, effulgent like the sun, wearing a garland of white lotuses and water lilies. The Lord was clad in spotless yellow silk, and his lotus face was fringed with slick, dark locks of curly hair.
So the Lord has appeared in front of him. Tarunam Ramaniyangam Arunoshtekshadharanam Pranata Sharanam Nirnam Sharanyam Karunarnavam. So when the Lord appears, he is Tarunam, he is youthful, Ramaniyangam, all the limbs of the Lord are very beautiful. Arunostha, and he has reddish lips. Pranata Ashrayanam Nirnam. So he is always merciful to those who surrenders to him. Sharanyam, he is worth taking shelter of. Sharanyam. Karunarnavam. So that's how the Lord appears in front of Kardamuni. And Supreme Lord, he is called as Virajam. Virajam means he is free from material contamination. The Lord is never contaminated by anything of this material world. Although the Lord creates all this material universe, which is full of the modes of nature, but he never gets affected himself. In the 4th canto, the example is given. Just like the sun creates the clouds, the sun creates the snow also. When the sun is not there, snow is created. Sun creates the clouds, sun creates the snow, sun has the sunbeam, sun rays. But all these are created by sun, but they are not sun. So they are not affecting anything in the sun. Similarly, the Lord creates all the material things, but Lord is not affected by any of them. So that is how Virajam. Arakabham, he is effulgent like sun. Sita, Padama Utpal. he was wearing a garland of white lotuses and water lilies. Namah Pankajanaabhaya, Pankaj Maline, Pankaj Netraya. Who is saying this? Snigdha Neel Alaka. Alak means curly locks of hair. Alka, very common name, Alka. What is the meaning of Alka? One with a curly hair. So he has Neel Alaka. His hairs are not exactly black. It is dark blue. Neel Alaka. Dark locks of curly hair. Neel Alaka Vrata. Vaktra Abjam. He has a lotus face. Virajambaram. He is wearing very spotless yellow dhoti. So that is how the Lord appears in front of Kartam Muni. And similar beauty is described in many places in Bhagavatam. When Kapila Dev is describing the beauty of the Lord from the lotus feet to the lotus face, there also he says, Yashri Niketam Alibhi Parisevyamanam Bhutya Swaya Kutila Kuntala Vrinda Jushtam. Yashri Niketam, the lotus face of the Lord is the abode of all beauty. Alibhi, it is having dark locks of hair. Ali means bumblebee. So the hairs of the Lord, they are black. Parisebhyamanam bhutya swaya kutil kuntala. Kutil kuntalam shri mukham tashyate. Gopi Git mein jate hai. Jada udikshatam pakshmakritrisham pati sutanvaya bhratra bandhavad. Kutil kuntala. So curly locks of hair. Meena dvaya shrayam. Meena means fish. That's why Meenakshi means big,
Fish-like.
who has big eyes, So fish-like eyes means the fish has big, full eyes. Meena Dvayashram. That's how the Lord appears. He continues. Kiritinam Kundalinam Shankha Chakra Gadadharam
And earrings. He held his characteristic sponge, disc, and mace in three of his hands and a white lily in the fourth. The garlanded glanced about in a happy, smiling mood whose sight captivates the hearts of all beings.
Usually carries Padma.
यहाँ पे क्या है?
White lily.
This
Padma.
नहीं नहीं कहाँ पे श्वेत उत्पल व्हाइट लिली ओके मोटा है वो
नहीं कमल को भी white lily.
no white lily is different, lotus is different. यहाँ पे लिली लेके आए हैं. Anyways, maybe utpal means not lotus.
And also this one, sorry, I'm different like Aniruddha. So they say there's a different.
Yeah, yes.
They carry the.
Yes, Prabhupada writes in one purport. I'm not remembering the exact purport, but Prabhupada writes. There are different combinations. They decide what is the name of that form of fish.
Correct.
Where they carry.
Prabhupada purport. I think first canto में आता है. We have heard, we have read.
CC actually in Bhagavatam.
CC में भी आता है. CC में आता है. I'm not sure.
भागवतम का जो ये है पहला कैंटो के ऊपर 24 different forms.
So here he's carrying water, like lady.
So here he is carrying water lily.
So 24 मतलब 4 factorial मतलब बराबर.
Kiritinam means he is having a crown. Kundalinam, Makara Kundal, he is always having sharp shaped earrings. Shankha Chakra Gadadharam, Shwet Utpal Kriyanakam. He glanced in a happy, smiling mood. Manaha Sparasha Smita Ikshanam, that smile which captivates the heart. Mana Sparasha, man ko chhune wali, Smita Hasya. So that's how Lord reciprocates with his devotees. Where all it has come, Lord smiles. When devotees offer prayers, the Lord just smiles. Kunti Maharaj. और कहाँ पे आता है? हाँ हाँ
प्रसन्न नहीं वो भारत प्रसन्न नहीं वो भारत
हाँ, वो तो है, वो तो मतलब अलग तरीके से हंस रहे हैं। वो तो हंस रहे हैं, क्या कर रहा है ये? एक और
Also, when
जगह-
you reach Dwarka after
हाँ,
Giri
correct.
Hasina,
When Dwarkavasis they offer prayers, Lord just smiles. That is sufficient for devotees to be pacified. हाँ, भगवान प्रसन्न हो गए बस. Smile is sufficient. So Smana Sparsha Smith Ikshanam. He has a Smith Hasya. और रूप गोस्वामी लिखते हैं ना भक्ति सिंधु में, there are many types of laughter also. When there is Smith Hasya, when the teeth are not seen, when थोड़ा और हंसते हैं तो teeth are seen, and when people are laughing very loudly, their body shaking, वो भी एक है, उसमें हास्य है और अति हास्य, अट्टहास ऐसा भी है, और जोर से हंसते हैं तो एक दूसरे को ऐसा मार रहे हैं, all that. 4-5 types of laughter is described. उसमें वो 5 primary रस है, 7 secondary रस है, उसमें हास्य रस भी है ना. So हास्य रस में रूप गोस्वामी describes 5-6 types of hasya. So the Lord glances. Chandrika Vishadasmerai Saruna Panga Vikshitai Swakarthanam Ivarajaha Sattvabhyam Srishtipalakai. So when Lord glances on his devotees, that glance creates the desire for service. And when Lord smiles at his devotee, that smile removes the distress which is there in the heart of the devotee. So that is how the Lord's form is just, he is manifesting his form only for one purpose. Just to give satisfaction to his devotees. Just to give an object of meditation. आप इतने सारे वस्तुओं पे ध्यान कर रहे हैं, आज तक कभी संतुष्टि नहीं हुई. Please meditate on my form. That will give satisfaction. That's why the Lord has appeared in this beautiful form. In the 11th canto, there is a beautiful Achidya Kirti Sushlokam Vitatya Anjasanukau. I'll just find out first 2 lines. Eleven, 1, 6 and 7. Very beautiful. Uddhavji is describing the beauty of Krishna. Swamurtya lokalavanya nirmuktya lochanam drisham girvishchatam smaratam chittam padaistam ikshatam kriya. Swamurtya, Supreme Lord is the reservoir of all the beauty. Lokalavanya nirmuktya lochanam drisham. All the beautiful things emanate from him. He steals the eyes away from all the other objects. Nirmuktya lochan, lochan आंखों को और कहीं नहीं देखने देते हैं. And then girvista smaratam chittam, the words of Krishna that attract the minds of everyone. Whenever Krishna spoke, everyone would be attracted. Padaisnan ikshatan kriya. And by seeing the footprints of Krishna, people became attracted to him. They wanted to offer their bodily activities to the Lords. Achadya kirtim sushlokam vitatya hyanjasanukau. In this way, Lord very easily spread his glories. So Lord has manifested all these beautiful forms so that, and it just comes again and again. बार-बार description आता है भागवतम में, beauty of the Lord. So that we can get attracted. When we hear the words of Krishna, we may get attracted. It's like Kaviraj Goswami writes in Chaitanya Charitamrita. When Krishna plays his flute, when the flute sound enters the ears of gopis, they can't hear anything else. It is our experience when we are talking to someone and completely absorbed. आगे कुछ भी बोले, कोई कितना भी चले, कोई सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है. That is the situation of the gopis. कानेन भीतर वासा करे, अपने तहाँ सदा स्फुरे, अन्य शब्द ना दे प्रवेशिते. आन कथा ना सुने कान, आन बोलिते बोलायान, ए कृष्णेर वंशी रचरिते. कानेर भीतर वासा करे, when flute of Krishna, sound of Krishna enters the ears, it resides there. Kaner bhitar vasa kare, and it manifests newer and newer tastes अपने तहा सदा स्फुरे अन्य शब्द न दे प्रवेशिते और कुछ घुसने नहीं देता अंदर आन कथा ना सुने आन बोलिते बुलाया they can't speak anything they can't hear anything that is the beauty of Krishna's flute sound. So Prabhupada it brings this to our level. He says Hare Krishna mantra represents the flute sound of Krishna. तो हम सोचेंगे तो कहाँ कृष्ण की फ्लूट की ध्वनि सुनाई देने वाली है Krishna's flute sound is Hare Krishna mantra.
So we should have so much absorption in our life.
Yeah, that is how devotees absorb. There is a difference between a pure devotee chanting and a sadhaka chanting. When sadhaka chanting, we have to be reminded, chanting kar raha hai tu, yaad karo. We are chanting. But for pure devotee, it is absorption. 11th verse. Vinyasta charanam bhojam
न्यस्तचरणाम्भोजम्
karotmataha
देश गरुत्मतः
tamvakshaha
वाक्ये तं मोक्षः
A golden string, famous Kaustuba chain suspended from his neck. He stood in the air with his lotus feet placed on the shoulders of Garuda.
All the beauty of the Lord is described here. Now the Lord is still in the sky. He is not descending. He never touches the ground. It is described that one instance, one pastime, the Lord's feet touched the ground. Anyone remembers? Anyone knows?
Ritu Maharaj.
Prithu Maharaj. When Prithu Maharaj offers his prayers, Lord's feet touches the ground. And to support, because he's not used to standing on the ground, he is getting imbalanced. So he is taking the support of Garuda to stand. तो फोटो भी है बहुत अच्छा पिक्चर बना है पेंटिंग. So the Lord is standing in the air, golden streak on the chest, that is Shivatsa. Kaustubh is there, and he is having his feet placed on the shoulders of Garuda. So that is the absorption, that is a meditation a devotee should have when he is looking at the thighs of the Lord. That is what Kapila describes. That the thighs of the Lord, they are always placed on the shoulders of Garuda. Now here, the Lord is standing on the shoulders of Garuda, but generally the Lord is sitting on the shoulders. So वहां पे बोलते हैं ऊरु सुपर्ण भुजयो रवि अधिशोभमाना ओजो निधीयत सिका कुसुमाव भासा. Uru means the thighs. Suparna bhujayo means Garudji ki wings, they are golden. So the Lord is always having his feet, having his thighs on the shoulders of Garuda. Why? He is always flying to come and protect his devotees, to show mercy to his devotees. So that is what is happening here.
No, but Krishna was he was walking in Vrindavan barefooted. No?
Yes.
He said he cannot stand on the ground.
Vishnu.
Vishnu.
Vishnu ji ka description ऐसे ही आता है.
Okay.
He never touches the ground.
Okay. Always for the.
Again, Prabhupada writes in the 11th purport. All this shows that Lord is a person. This is not imagination. The varieties of the transcendental body of the Lord are not manufactured by the material energy. As Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, 11th verse, Avajananti Manushim Bhakshitam. So that's what is the conception of all the Mayavadis. Oh, Lord has taken, Absolute Truth has taken a material form. Absolute Truth covered with goodness is avatar. Absolute Truth covered with passion is all the species of life. Absolute Truth covered with ignorance is all the matter. So that's what Prabhupada is describing here. There is no point in seeing an imaginated form of the Lord after practicing yoga for 10,000 years. What is the use of seeing an imaginary form? There has to be a personal form. So the Prabhupada describes the beauty of Goloka Vrindavan Chintamani Prakara Sadma Sukalpa Vriksha Lakshavrateshu Surbhira Vipalayanta. So now after the Lord appears in front of Kardamuni, Now, 12th verse describes the response of Kardamuri on seeing the Lord. Now, the Lord is appearing first time in front of him. Jata harshopatam murdhna
तातहर्षोपतं मूर्ध्नम्
Girbhistabhyagranat priti
गिर्विस्तो अभ्रगृह्णातीति
Jalihi.
कृताञ्जलिः
Actually realized the supreme personality of God as in person. He was greatly satisfied because his transcendental desire was fulfilled. He fell in the ground with his head bowed to offer obeisances unto the lotus feet of the Lord. His word, naturally full of love, God with folded hands, he satisfied the Lord with prayers.
So, Jata Harsha, he became naturally jubilant. Apatan, he fell down with his head on the ground. Shitao Lapta Manoratha, because he has achieved his perfection, his desires are fulfilled. So, what he is doing? Girbhis tu Abhya Grinat. He satisfied the Lord with his prayers. And Swabhava, Priti Swabhav Atma. His heart was full of love. Priti Swabhava. His Atma, his heart was full of Priti Swabhava. So he's standing in front of the Lord, he's offering his prayer, satisfying him. So Prabhupada in the purport he describes realization of the personal form of the Lord is the highest perfection. So that is what Bhagavad Gita also says. Yoginam api sarvesham mad katenantar atmana. After practicing the sitting postures and finally reaches the stage of samadhi. Samadhi is described in Patanjali Sutra to be a transcendental pleasure. The yoga system described in the books of Patanjali is authoritative, and the modern so-called yogis have manufactured their own ways. आजकल योगा के नाम पे सब कुछ होता है. Anything which is not yoga is happening in the name of yoga. So Patanjali yoga system is called Ashtanga Yoga. Sometimes impersonalists pollute the Patanjali yoga system because they are monists. So now people say meditate on impersonal Brahman. But that is not yoga system. Yoga means meditate on a form of the Lord. That is very clear. And then Prabhupada goes into the detail of what is Patanjali. What is he saying? When one becomes free from material contamination, he attains his real transcendental situation. And the realization of that stage is called spiritual power. In material activities, a person engages in mode of nature. The aspirations of such people are to be religious, to be economically enriched. What is all this? Prabhupada is paraphrasing. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. According to monists, when a yogi becomes one with the Lord, he attains Kaivalya. But actually, stage of realization of Lord is Kaivalya. So Kaivalya is not merging in the Brahman. Kaivalya is realizing the personal form of the Lord, which manifests through his Chit Shakti. And then Prabhupada uses some technical words. The trance is described to be of two kinds, Sampragyata Samadhi and Asampragyata Samadhi. Prabhupada uses these terms in Bhagavad Gita also, in 6th chapter, Sampragyat and Asampragyat. In Samadhi or Asampragyat, one can realize the spiritual form of the Lord. Asampragyat and Sampragyat. So Prabhupada is now saying that Kardamuni, he saw the personal form of the Lord. That is a real perfection. Okay, now Rishi Kardamuni is offering his prayers. Rishira Uvacha
शिरवाच
Patadya Kila Satvarashe
किल सत्वराशि
Tava Darshananaha
संसिद्धयाम् अक्षरो तव दर्शनाम्नः
Viridya Sadbhe
यत्नां संहरित्य सप्तेर्
The great sage Kardama said, O Supreme Worshipable Lord, my power of sight is now fulfilled, having attained the greatest perfection of the sight of you, who are the reservoir of all existences. Through many successive births of deep meditation, advanced yogis aspire to see your transcendental form.
So from 13 to 22nd verses, Kardamuni is offering his prayers, he's speaking to the Lord. Jushtam, he says, I have attained. Bata, oho, that is the exclamation sign. Bata comes many times. Bata. Aho, bata shapacho. There also it is. Bata means exclamation. Wah, aha, ऐसा. Aho, bata shapacho. So यहाँ पे जुष्टम bata. Oh, today I have attained Adya. Adya means today. I have attained you, O my Lord, who is Akhila Sattva Rashi, who is a reservoir of all existences, all goodness. Sansiddhyam Akshano. Now my power of sight is fulfilled. Tava darshanam. आपका दर्शन करके आंखें धन्य हो गई हैं. सांसिध्यम अक्षिणो तव दर्शनान्नः. Yad darshanam, that darshan which is achieved by Jannam Bhir, after many, many births. Idyasadbhi, not ordinary people, great personalities, great yogis, they attain your darshan after many, many lives. Ashasate yogino, rudha yoga, not just ordinary yoga, after being rudha. Oh, उसमें भगवत गीता में प्रभुपाद राइट्स कृष्ण से ना 2 types yoga rudha, yoga rurukshu. What is yoga rudha, yoga ruruksha?
At bottom of the ladder.
Now yoga rurukshu means initial new yogi. And जैसे हम neophyte devotee बोलते हैं वैसे neophyte yogi. Yoga rurukshu. Yoga rudha means perfect. So yoga yogino rudha yoga, after being advanced in yoga, one sees you after many, many lives. And that form is manifesting in front of me. I'm so fortunate. So that is how Rishi Kardamuni is offering his prayers. In 10th canto, all the gopis, they also offer prayers. Akshanvatam phalamidam na param vidama satya pashun anuveshyatayor vayasya. So बोलते हैं अक्षणवताम फलम, our eyes have attained our perfection because now we are getting your darshan. So that's how only form of the Lord can satisfy a person. He says samsiddhyam. Now we have attained success. Our eyes have attained success. Nothing else can satisfy the Lord. No, nothing else can satisfy the eyes. So Chakravarti Thakur writes, it is the highest mercy of the Lord, and my highest good fortune is to see the Lord so quickly. Quickly, matlab, after 10,000 years. That is quick. Bata expresses astonishment. Today my eyes have become completely successful. So that is how it is so very quick. So just imagine after 10,000 years, he's saying, Jaldi mil gaya. So Dhruva, kya situation ka? What was the austerity of Dhruva Maharaj? In 6 months, he is getting darshan. So we cannot even imagine. Srila Prabhupada writes, Supreme Lord is described as reservoir of all goodness and all pleasure. Akhila Sattva Rashi. Kardamuni says, your lordship is the reservoir of all that can be understood by nomenclature of goodness. And then after a few lines, Prabhupada writes, the sense of sight, when engaged in seeing the beauty of the Lord, is perfected. What Shaunakadi rishis say about the eyes, when the eyes are not used in taking darshan of the Lord, they are like?
Like spots on
The plumes of the
They are like the plumes on the peacock feather. The ears are not used to hear.
snake.
snake hole.
Snake hole.
if the legs are not used to go to holy places, they are like three pranks. If और क्या बोलते हैं? If the hands are not used in serving the devotees of the Lord and they are just decorated with bangles, they are compared to
Dead body.
Dead body.
dead body.
Dead body.
Wearing a heavy crown on the head, it is like
Not bowing, they don't bow in front of the Lord, it's like.
burden. It is a burden on their head which will sink them in the ocean of material existence. So the power of the taste is by eating prasad, that is perfected. When all our senses are engaged in service of the Lord, that is technically bhakti yoga.
Even if one person comes into the temple even once and they bow down in front of the Lord, human birth is guaranteed next life.
I'm not sure.
Bhakti man, that is in Vishnu Purana. This is the grace Shitalang Prabhu, Shitalang Varan Prabhu during the deity worship seminar. Told, Vishnu Darshanartham Subhakti man. So that's how the shloka starts. And then who comes and he doesn't again go back to the mother's womb.
Whenever such descriptions are given in Bhagavatam, just like Yamraj also tells, or Bhagavatam or any other scriptures, Yamraj also tells, किसको लेके आओ? क्या क्या बोलते हैं यमदूतों को बोलते हैं ना? हम किसको लेके आना है? आज बच गए हो, नेक्स्ट टाइम गड़बड़ किया तो पिटाई हो जाएगी आप लोगों की. So be careful whom to bring. So he says three types of people you should bring. कौन से? जिह्वान भक्ति भगवद गुण नाम धेयम चेतश्चन स्मृति तच्चरणारविंदम कृष्णाय नो न शीरे कदापि तानानयत्वम. जो जिह्वा से भगवान का नाम नहीं लेता है उसको लेके आओ, जो स्मरण नहीं करे उसको लेके आओ, जो चेतश्चन स्मृति है क्या, जिह्वान भक्ति भगवत गुण नाम धेयम चेतश्चन कृष्णाय नो नमति. The one who is not chanting the names of the Lord, उनको लेके आओ. जो याद नहीं कर रहा है उनको लेके आओ. जो प्रणाम नहीं कर रहा है, भारत में तो सबको ही कर रहा है. सो यमराज के पास कोई जा रहा है कि नहीं?
कोई नहीं.
How to understand this? नहीं, इतने सारे लोग भगवान को प्रणाम कर रहे हैं. They are chanting. So how to understand this? Nobody is going to Yamraj.
They will sin source.
No, Subhakti man. That thing was Subhakti man, not Bhakti man. Subhakti man.
So it is not that just by offering respects, obeisances, एक बार कर दिया हो गया. No, it depends on the purity of the faith. With a pure faith, exclusively depending on the Lord, that is Subhaktiman. If somebody is exclusively depending on the Lord and एक बार भी प्रणाम करेगा, उसका नहीं होगा पुनर्जन्म. इसको यमलोक नहीं जाना है.
मदर्स वूम पे जाएगा नहीं वापस.
He may go to mother's womb, that is, may or may not go, that is not guaranteed. It depends on the purity of the devotee, how he is purified. But he'll not go to Yamlok for sure. He'll not go to hell for sure. That is guaranteed. But if somebody doesn't have the pure faith means, मैं कृष्ण को भी भगवान मान लेता हूँ, फिर मैं मंडे को शिव जी, ट्यूसडे को तो हनुमान जी. That is not pure faith. Exclusively depending on Krishna. With that pure dependence, if one does all these things, then he will not go to Yamraj.
Okay.
Otherwise, इंडिया में तो सब लोग कर रहे हैं. तो कोई यमलोक जा रहा है कि नहीं जा रहा है? इंडिया वाले सब कहाँ जा रहे हैं? भारत वाले. No, it is not like that. One with a pure faith, if he is doing this, then they will not go. Okay, so he continues. Ye माययाते हतमेधसस्त्वात्
माययाते हस्तमेधस्त्वात्
ते कामलम् ये
For lotus feet are the two vessels to take one across the ocean of mundane nescience. Only persons deprived of their intelligence by the spell of the deluding energy, will worship those feet with a view to attain the trivial and momentary pleasures of the senses, which even persons rotting in hell can attain. However, my Lord, you are so kind that you bestow mercy even upon them.
ओके सो प्रीवियस वर्स विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर का एक परपोट में एक अच्छा लाइन बोल है. He says, whatever previous perfection was there for the eyes was not perfection. This perfection is respected by all. You are the form of most fallen beings. You are the form for the most fallen beings. And then he says, and I have not done suitable sadhan. This is the main point. मैंने तो कुछ किया ही नहीं. 10,000 साल तक तपस्या करने के बाद भगवान आए बोल रहे I have not done sadhan properly. So that is the mood of a sadhaka. He never feels qualified for the mercy. He never demands अब तक नहीं प्रकट हुए देखो, you know, कितने देर से तपस्या कर रहा हूं मैं. Every Ekadashi I'm chanting 64 rounds, you know, Lord is not appearing. We cannot demand mercy. A sadhaka never feels that he is qualified for the mercy. गोपीनाथ मम निवेदन शुनो विषय दुर्जना सदा कामे रता किच्छु नहीं मोर गुण. There is, I have no good quality, no qualification. So that is how a devotee always thinks. So that is how the perfection of all the senses is in serving the Lord. Uddhav ji tells in the 11th canto, त्वयोपभुक्त सद्गंध वासालंकार चर्चितैः उच्छिष्ट भोजिनो दासास्तव मायां जयेमहि. O my Lord, by taking your remnants, Uddhav, whatever he would wear, that was the remnants of Krishna only. His clothes, his ornaments, his prasad. त्वयोप उपभुक्त, जो भी आपने खाया हुआ बच गया. स्रक, gandha, whatever you have worn, whatever fragrance is offered to you. Vasa alankara charchitai, whatever you have worn, I am wearing that, I am using that. Tava mayam jayemahi, I'll cross this material energy by all these things. So that is how a devotee feels. So now in this verse he's saying, ye mayayate hat medhasa, only people who are deprived of their intelligence, hat medhasa. Destroyed by whom then? Deprived by Maya. Their intelligence is deprived. Material energy steals away the intelligence of people. And such people, they can't see Padarvindam Bhavasindhu Potam. They can't see that your lotus feet, they are true vessel. Bhavasindhu Pota. Anywhere else it is described like that? Lotus feet of the Lord, they are the suitable boat to cross this ocean of material existence. Samashitaye Punya Yasho Murari Bhavam Budir Vatsapadam Yat Vipadam. So that is how taking shelter of the Lord's feet is a suitable boat with which we can cross the ocean of material existence. And such people who have lost their intelligence, you know what they do? Upasate, they worship. Kamalavayate sham. They worship you for material things. It's not, Kardamani is going to the next level. You know, one level of deprivation is they worship devtas. एक दूसरे भी हैं जो आपकी पूजा करते हैं भौतिक इच्छा के लिए. Why he is telling? In the next verse, he says, I am that. I worshipped you for what? I wanted a good wife. So that is what he is making a background of his prayers. Upasate kamalavayate sham. The people, such people worship your feet for trivial and momentary pleasures of the senses. Rashisha. And such pleasures are available for Nirayepi. for hell. People stay in hell also. They also enjoy such pleasures. But you are so merciful that you are showing mercy to them also. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, oh, people worship you, who are the ocean of mercy for fulfilling material desires. This is their foolishness. Those who have lost intelligence because of your Maya worship you to attain just a particle of pleasure. Then he writes a very important line. You give them those pleasures profusely, though you are reluctant. नहीं चाहते फिर भी आप देते हैं. You are reluctantly giving them. You know why? Why you give them? He says, if you did not do so, they would quickly give up devotion to you. कुछ देते नहीं है, क्या फायदा इनकी भक्ति करके? No, that is how he is hoping. He continues. You do so, hoping that by not giving up bhakti for some time, they will lose those desires. That is how Krishna is always having a hope against hope. We are thinking अपने को hope against hope है, but Krishna is also thinking बेचारा अब तो आएगा, अब तो आएगा, अब तो छोड़ेगा, अब तो छोड़ेगा. He is having this hope against hope that कभी तो छोड़ेगा ही. Fulfilling those desires is not your final intention, since those desires for sons, wife, family will lead them to hellish birth. नहीं देना चाहते हैं, फिर भी देते हैं. However, since there is a rule that karmas lead to heaven, very important. Now here, this is a very important line. You know, people say karma, karmic reaction, karma का फल भोग रहे हैं हम लोग. He writes here. Karma leads to hell or heaven. Enjoyment given by you does not generate karma. Those desires do not really lead to bondage. Very important. Thus, in reality, the meanings of the words heaven or hell does not apply in this case. So for a devotee, all the pleasures, all the pains, they don't bind the devotee. Even if the devotee enjoys, he's not generating good karma. He's not creating any type of karma. So that is what is described here. Very, very important. So that is what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes. And then Sri Prabhupada writes, there are two kinds of devotees who worships the Lord for material pleasures and who desire nothing but service. So those material pleasures can be attained even by lower species of life. And therefore, Kardamuni says, Niraye pi are narak mein bhi milta hai. So Lord is so kind that if so-called yogis are satisfied by hellish pleasures, he can give them facilities for attaining that. Hellish and demoniac persons do not know what is the ultimate attainment in perfection. And therefore they think that sense gratification is the highest goal. They advise that one can satisfy the senses and at the same time, by reciting some mantra or by some practice, can cheaply aspire for perfection. They are called as Hatha Medhasa. So this is very common nowadays. Do whatever you want, do all the sense gratification. बस एक मंत्र जप कर लो. कितना करना है आपके ऊपर है. नहीं करना है चलेगा. Donation देते रहिए. So that is very common. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that by the Lord, the intelligence of those who worship devatas has been spoiled. Where Krishna says this? Intelligence of those who worship the devatas is spoiled.
Maya Pratyana.
नहीं, worship devata.
Okay, okay.
Antavattu phalam tesham tad bhavati alpamedhasam. They have less intelligence, that's why they worship devatas. They have lost their Prabhupada rights. Kardamuni states that one who aspires after material enjoyment by practice of yoga has spoiled his brain substance and is fool number one. God is very strongly many times writing. It's fool number one. People are not understanding. So he continues. तथा स चाहं परिवोढु कामः समानशीलां गृहमेदधेनुम् उपैवान्मूलमशेषमूलम् दुराशय कामदुघाङ्घ्रिपस्य
Therefore, the desiring to marry a girl of like disposition who may prove to be a veritable cow of plenty in my married life. To satisfy my lustful desire, I too have sought the shelter of your lotus feet, which are the source of everything. For you are like a desire tree.
Tatha sachaham. Then he says, in the previous verse, he said, those who worship you for material desires, they are fools. He says, I am like that fool. Because I am worshipping you for what? Samana Shila Grihamed Dhenum. I am worshipping you for wife of Samana Shila, of equal, similar disposition. So that's why I am worshipping you. So therefore, please give me Upaivan Moolam Ashesha Moolam. I have sought your shelter, shelter of your feet, who is the source of everything. Durashaya. Kama Dugha Angri Pasya. Durashaya means the lusty desires, they are very difficult to satisfy. Durashaya. But I want to satisfy my lustful desires. So therefore I have taken your shelter. You are Kama Dughangri. Nothing of this world can satisfy a devotee or anyone. Hiranyakashipu is the prime example. He had everything. Still he was not satisfied. Saitham nirjit kapu bekarant vishayan priyan yathopajosham bhunjano natripyat ajitendriya. Everything he had, but still he was natripyat, not satisfied. But kama dughangri, your lotus feet are desired tree. You can fulfill all the desires. So he is calling his would-be wife is like a cow because he is thinking himself to be a bull. Why he is thinking himself to be a bull? Because bull is less intelligent. He doesn't understand things. So that is how he is calling himself a bull. One time the person, he was visiting a village. He saw there was a farmer and the bull was there, and the bull had a bell in his neck. So this person asked, "Ye ghanti kyun bandi hai gale mein?" So he says, "Oh, so that I may understand that this bull is still working, because when the bull walks, the bell will move." So this person was a logician. He was using his logic. He said, what if the bull stands at one place and moves his neck? He says, that will not happen because he is not a logician, he is a bull. He will not have intelligence to just move his head. So that's why he's saying bull is less intelligent. So therefore he's saying, I want Samana Shila Grihamed Dhinum. I want a wife like cow because I'm like a bull, less intelligent. So Prabhupada writes, the phrase like disposition is very important. Formerly, the boys and girls of similar dispositions were married. Similar natures were united in order to make them happy. Not more than 25 years ago. And perhaps it is still current. Parents in India used to consult horoscope of boy and the girl to see whether there would be a factual union in their psychological conditions. These considerations are very important. That is how Prabhupada writes. So Kardama Muni wanted to have a wife of like disposition because wife is necessary to assist in spiritual and material advancement. So the Lord is so merciful. He is making all the material arrangements for his devotees also. शादी भी करा रहे हैं, चलो उनका शादी करने की इच्छा आपके लिए मैं मैच अरेंज करता हूँ. और कहाँ पे हुआ है स्टोरी? Lord arranged a wife. तो यहाँ पे कर्दम के लिए एक देवा होती. और कहाँ पे हुआ है?
और ये सुभद्रा, अर्जुन सुभद्रा.
ओके ठीक है. और प्रचेतस, they wanted a wife. So Lord is arranging all the matchmaking also. So that's the Lord does everything for his devotee. So Sakshi Gopal के केस में भी ऐसे ही हो गया. Of course, there the reason was a little different. तो चल के आ रहे इतना दूर भाई इसकी शादी हो जाए. शादी हो जाए means that was another purpose because he was saying Brahman sevaye priti. क्या? So older younger Brahman says, I am not interested in the girl. But I am thinking this older Brahman has given his promise and he will break his promise. So entire world will, just condemn this Brahman and he'll become sinful. He tells old Brahman, I have not served you to get your daughter. Brahman sevaye Krishna priti pada hoye, tahara santoshe prema sampada pada. I have served you to please Krishna. Because that is also a story. So although here Kardam is criticizing himself to be a materialistic person wanting wife, but he is not exactly like that. He is just obliged by the order of Brahmaji. Brahmaji ne order diya hai to create progeny. That's why Lord is so very impressed. And it is described, it will come in the future, that Lord was so impressed by the surrender that he had tears in his eyes. And that tears created which Sarovar? That tears created Bindu Sarovar. So that's how the Lord was impressed by Kardam Muni that you have no material desires. Still you have taken all the troubles to fulfill the desires of Brahmaji. That surrender pleases the Lord. When we have no material desires, but to fulfill the desires of the Guru and the previous Acharyas, one is ready to go through all the pains. That is what pleases the Lord. And that is what attracts the mercy of the Lord. So that's how, even though we are given some very difficult service, but when we surrender and try to execute as per our capacity, that attracts the mercy of the Lord. So that is how he's getting pleased. And Brahmaji, on the other hand, also Brahmaji, he was given such difficult service of creation. He is also doing intense tapasya and Lord appeared in front of him. He was blessed by the Lord. So Prabhupada writes many of these points about marriage in this purport. Nowadays, marriage are without such consultation, and therefore soon after the marriage there is divorce. Formerly, husband and wife used to live peacefully together throughout their lives. Nowadays, it is very difficult. Prabhupada writes, a wife of like disposition is needed. Wife yields the fulfillment of all desires. So in this purport, Prabhupada is describing various factors in choosing a wife. So one has a good wife, then he is considered to be a fortunate man. In astrology, the man is considered fortunate who has great wealth, very good sons, and a very good wife. Of these three, one who has a very good wife is considered most fortunate. चाणक्य पंडित का एक ये बोलते हैं ना रूपाल, हाँ उल्टा बोलते हैं। नहीं वो तो अलग है, वो भी बोलता हूँ। इसमें बोलते हैं दुष्ट भार्या शठन मित्रम पुत्रश्च उत्तरदायकम, फॉर हिम अरण्यम तेन गंतव्यम यथारण्यम यथा गृहम. If Dushta Bharya, if wife is not chaste, And Shakhan Mitram, if the friend is a cheat, and putrascha uttardayakam, बेटा उत्तर दे रहा है मतलब मुंह पे बोल रहा है, we should go to forest only, because for him home and forest is the same. और उसमें दूसरा वाला है रूपवती, क्या है वो उसमें,
रूपवती
नहीं शुरू शुरू कैसे होता है वो,
काफी से डरता है।
हाँ, ऋण करता पिता शत्रु,
Beautiful, right? And,
वो थर्ड वाला है, ऋण करता पिता शत्रु, और क्या है, एनीवेज रूपवती भार्या शत्रु, याद नहीं आ रहा।
सूत्र और इंक्लूड नहीं हुआ तो वैसे
हाँ हाँ,
सन और इंक्लूड नहीं रहेगा तो
fun is not very useful.
उसमें अभी याद नहीं आएगा मेरे को, रूपवती भार्या शत्रु, अच्छा है वो उसमें। एनीवेज बाद में ढूंढ के बताएंगे।
But if you can, some life, especially of a Prabhupada, when the wife was not able to, that turned out to be a very good life.
वही तो प्रभुपाद बोलते हैं ना, वाई रूपवती भार्या शत्रु, बिकॉज हाँ, माता च व्यभिचारिणी, रूपवती भार्या शत्रु, आगे लास्ट क्या है,
लास्ट इज भार्या रूपवती शत्रु,
थर्ड क्या है,
पुत्र पुत्र शत्रु
अपंडितः, पुत्र शत्रु अपंडितः, हाँ, रूपवती भार्या शत्रु, माता च व्यभिचारिणी, रूपवती भार्या शत्रु, पुत्र शत्रु अपंडिता, yes. So that's why Prabhupada, he tells that I was not happy with my wife, she was not beautiful, I wanted to get remarried. Prabhupada ऐसा मतलब पूरा खुल्लम खुला बोल देते हैं अपने, when he says, and then my father, भाई क्या Gaur he said, it is nice that you don't like your wife, it will give you impetus to love the world. So वही तो बोल रहे हैं, रूपवती भार्या होती तो मैं नहीं घर छोड़ पाता. She was not so beautiful and still she was not interested in spiritual life. तो सोने पे सुहागा हो गया फिर. So that is how. Of these three, one who has good wife is most fortunate.
ये इसके लिए वो स्त्रिय से चरितम पुरुष से भाग्य,
हाँ,
ऐसा भी
क्या है?
नीति शास्त्र में स्त्रिय से चरितम
स्त्रियस्य चरितम पुरुषस्य भाग्यम.
मतलब अगर if you get a good
Chaste wife, that is a fortune.
fortune of the heart.
पुरुषस्य भाग्यम. ठीक है, मैं नोट कर लेता हूँ.
But I think it's all concept, like not that particular situation, so it's something cannot generally.
No, means a person who is, of course, after becoming a devotee, all these things don't matter. But for materialists, the more beautiful the wife is, the more he is absorbed and attached to the wife. Where will he get the impetus to announce the world? Katham priyaya anukampitaya sangam rahasyam ruchiram shamantran. Prahlad Maharaj बोल रहे हैं. Who can give up the family life when the wife takes the husband in a solitary place and speaks mantras in the ears? Ruchiramscha mantra, mantra bolti hai. So how can one give up? Suritsu tatsneha shita shishunam kalaksharanam anurakta chitta. When children are born and when children they speak in totally boli, kitna अच्छा लगता है. पुत्रान स्मरांस्ता दुहित्र चिंतया, बेचारे अपने पुत्र के बारे में सोचता है, पुत्री के बारे में सोचता है. He thinks about his old parents who will take care, how they will be taken care after my death. In this way, he weaves a cocoon around himself. त्यजेत कोशात् कृदिवेह माना कर्माणि लोभा अवितृप्त कामा. Karmani lobha, still desires are there. Avitryapta kama, desires are not fulfilled. Aupastya jahivam bahumanyamana, just to fulfill the belly and genitals, he is working hobby. So that is how the family life is. Now, if Krishna is not in the center, tavat kara griham griham, tavad raga dayastena, all the attachments, they are like the shackles. And kara griham griham, the kara griha, the griha comes a kara griha. Kara griha is not griha with a car, you know. Kara griha ban jata hai, griha. यावत कृष्ण न तेजना, अगर कृष्ण नहीं है तो कारागृह हो जाएगा.
So in our own happiness we don't pray to Krishna, but our fearless we do.
Sorry?
On our own happiness we not pray to Krishna, but because of fear we will not do, something will happen, and then we will get the will not know useful.
नहीं समझा नहीं.
So what Prabhuji is asking is, if we are not praying to Krishna because we like or because we are happy, we get direct pleasure, but because of the fear, ये नहीं किया तो what if I don't pray? Like for example, when we go, we pray to the Lord.
That is impetus in the beginning days, beginning years. वो बोलते हैं ना आर्तो अर्थाति जिज्ञासु ज्ञानी, that is always there.
Beyond that,
And
इसके बाद करने से अपना फिर धीरे 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 धीरे
but the desire for self-preservation and desire for well-being of the near ones is included in pure devotional service. That does not make one a lesser devotee. That's why Rupa Goswami uses the word anyabhilashita shunyam, not anyabhilasha shunyam. So if somebody is praying for the life of some near ones and one's own life is in danger, नहीं भगवान से नहीं मांगेंगे. Even pure devotees they ask. पाहि पाहि महायोगिन देवदेव जगतपते नान्यत्व तभयम पश्ये यत्र मृत्यु परस्परम उत्तरा बोल रही हैं, कुंती बोल रही हैं. That. Before marrying, one should select a wife of like disposition and not be enamored by so-called beauty and other attractive features. That is the criteria nowadays always. It is said in Kali Yuga, marriage will be based on sex life. As soon as there is deficiency in sex life, divorce. Kardam Muni could have asked his benediction from Uma. यहाँ पे important बोल रही है. उमा के पास क्यों नहीं गए? उमा का पूजा करेंगे तो सुंदर पत्नी मिलती है. Why he is going to Krishna? क्यों कृष्ण के पास गए? What's the problem in going to devatas for material desires? हमने कितने बार सुने? क्या होता है?
As long as our contact is purified, but it will not purify the desire.
Desire will not be purified. That will increase the desire. और चाहिए. But Krishna will fulfill the desire and destroy the desire. It is recommended to worship Krishna, everyone, whether he is full of desires, agama, sarvakama, or mokshakam. यहाँ पे प्रभुपाद वो बोल रहे हैं. He'll fulfill everyone's desire. Advantage of worshipping, last few lines. Advantage of worshipping the Supreme Person is that even if one has desires for material enjoyment, if he worships Krishna, he will gradually become a pure devotee and he will have no more material hankering. So that is the difference. So many things are coming in this purports. In the 11th verse, Prabhupada writes about Grihamedhi and Grihastha life. Discuss that. In this verse, Prabhupada is talking about the various factors for choosing a life partner. In 19th verse purport, Prabhupada writes about importance of begetting children in Lord's service, about Garbhadhan Samskar. Prabhupada writes about that. And then in 27th verse, again Prabhupada writes about arranged marriages. And in 28th verse, he again describes what is the need of God's grace to get a good partner. Bhagwan ki kripa se hi hota hai sab kuch. Okay, he continues his prayers. So Narad Muni, Kardam Muni, he is praying that I wanted a wife, but although he is not having material desire, he just wanted to follow the orders of Brahma and he's not attached to it because right in the beginning of his marriage deal, क्या बोलते हैं Kardam Muni? मतलब कौन बोलेगा ऐसे? वो कौन शादी करेगा अपनी बेटी का? स्वयंभू मनु भी ऐसे, he is also a liberated person. And देवाहुति भी कौन शादी करेगी? बोलेगा ये तो छोड़ के चले जाएंगे, क्यों शादी करूं मैं? So all the characters involved in this whole episode, they are pure devotees. They are not attached to any of the material things. So he's honestly expressing. So that's how it is. And Priyavrat also accepts the orders of Brahmaji. वो भी ब्रह्मचारी हैं, ब्रह्मा जी आके बोलते हैं शादी करो. So he accepts, ठीक है भाई भगवान की इच्छा है, ब्रह्मा जी बोल रहे हैं तो. But the important thing is he still was not affected. That created a question in Parikshit Maharaj's mind. And that is the end of the 4th canto. The last few verses of the 4th canto, 31st chapter. नारद मुनि बोलते सुखदेव गोस्वामी बोलते हैं प्रियव्रत महाराज he was in the ashram of Narad Muni and then he got married and then he ruled the earth. परीक्षित महाराज एक मिनट ऐसा कैसे हो गई, पहले शादी कैसे कर ली, and शादी करने के बाद भी how he was not attached to family life. So that starts the fifth canto. So that is how the devotees are.
Finally gives up the family life and becomes.
Yes, yes, yes. That is the case of all the Rajarishis. Na? He also perfected his lives. So after hearing all these things, so the Lord may say, well, if that is so, use your intelligence. Why do not worship without desires? बोले आपकी इच्छा है मुझे पत्नी चाहिए तो बिना इच्छा के क्यों नहीं पूजा किया मेरा? The Lord may say like that after hearing this 15th prayer. Kardam Muni says, I am acting as per the desires of Brahmaji, who is acting as per your desire. That's what Chakravarti Thakur writes in the next verse purport. From that 16th verse purport, in the beginning, Chakravarti Thakur writes, if that is so, use your intelligence. Why do not worship without desires? Persons such as Marichi are bound by the ropes of instructions of Brahma, who is your servant. Brahma speaks only according to your instructions, so I am following your instructions. आपकी इच्छा से शादी कर रहा हूँ. Otherwise, I have no desires. Recite the 16th verse. प्रजापतेस्ते वचसाधीशतन्त्या लोकः किलायं कामहतोऽनुबद्धः अहं च लोकानुगतो वहामि बलिं च शुक्ला निमिषाय तुभ्यम्
O my Lord, you are the master and leader of all living entities. Under your direction, all conditioned souls, as if bound by rope, are constantly engaged in satisfying their desires. Following them, O embodiment of religion, I also bear oblations for you, who are eternal time.
O my Lord, Prajapatiste, you are the master and the leader of all the living entities. Prajapati, you are the supreme master. Vachasa adhishatantya, under your direction, everyone is working and moving as if bound by the ropes. In other place, this example is given, just like a bull is bound by a rope in his neck. He's helplessly pulled by the rope and he's just moving around. वो क्या बोलते हैं उसको? उससे तेल निकालते हैं. So he says, everyone is pulled by the ropes of the instructions which you are giving in the Vedas. Everyone is bound by that. So vachasa adhishatantya, vachasa adhish, your direction means words of the Vedas. Everyone is bound by the words given in the Vedas, and they are your words. Loka kilayam kam hato, all the conditioned souls, they are kam hata, they are stricken by material desires, and they are just engaged in satisfying their senses. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, so he says, Kardamuni will say, well, I am acting as per the desires of Brahmaji, and who is acting as per your desire. Lord may say, let the materialistic people be bound up. Why don't you overcome those desires like the Kumaras? आप छोड़ दो, कुमारों ने नहीं फॉलो किया, आप क्यों फॉलो कर रहे? He says, my intelligence follows the common people. I am not liberated like Kumaras. Aham cha lokanugata. I am like a common man. I am following those common people who are working to fulfill their desires. My intelligence follows common people. I cannot be like Narad Muni. I cannot be like Kumaras. So I don't expect me to be like intelligent like them. I am like a bull. Again, he's saying, I am like a bull. What is the characteristic of a bull? Is pulled by the ropes. I am bound by the rope and carry an offering to you. I follow your orders concerning material life. So that is how Kardam Muni, he wants to perform a lower dharma with a mood to come to a higher dharma of renouncing. So it is not that he wants to be bound in the lower dharma. Ultimately, he wants to renounce the world, but he wants to fulfill the instructions. So that is the right way to practice dharma. One may be in lower consciousness, but still we should try to rise to higher levels in due course of time. So Kardamuni is making a plan of life. And I will not be in the family life for eternity, for all my life. I'll immediately give up all this family attachment. I'll go to the forest. So that is how Kardamuni is planning. All his plans are in place. So we, as a practicing Krishna conscious devotee, we should have our plans, how I will advance in bhakti. That is a very important thing. Otherwise, it is not that, jaise hoga dekhenge. No, we have to plan in our life. How do I want to see myself in next 10 years? So we have to plan accordingly. If I want to do something, okay, I want to read the Bhagvatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, then I want to do this seva and that seva. We'll plan our life in such a way. Achanak nahi hoga. So Kardamuni is planning his life in the beginning only. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, he says, second paragraph, a question may be raised. Since Kardamuni was advanced in spiritual life, why he did not ask the Lord for liberation? Why did he want to enjoy material life in spite of personally seeing the Lord? Answer is that not everyone is competent to be liberated. It is everyone's duty, therefore, to enjoy according to the present situation, but under the direction of the Lord. One cannot artificially practice something where he is not. So that's how we should act according to our level of realization. Otherwise, we will leave whatever we are doing in due course of time. It doesn't happen haphazardly. We cannot artificially become a pure devotee. There are many people who have left. Just like one person, one devotee, he went to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, please give me Babaji Diksha. I don't want to serve, I'm at that level. Prabhupada says, no, it is not needed. We don't give this Babaji Diksha. You just chant and do seva, whatever. So he was again and again insisting. So Prabhupada in his whole life, he gave one person Babaji Diksha. दिए उनको इतना पीछे पड़ा वो. He said, I'll go to Radha Kund, and he was chanting whole day, 64 rounds or whatever rounds, and after 6 months, he was not seen anywhere. So after a few months, he was seen in America on a petrol station, doing his job. And some devotees, they might बोले मैंने जीवन भर का chanting कर लिया, हो गया मेरा. So that is how artificial we cannot practice a level where we are not. So therefore, according to the instructions of the seniors, that is most important. We may feel that I am liberated, but if the seniors are not recommending that, we should not practice that bhakti, that level of bhakti. Everything should be done under the instructions of the seniors, devotees, and spiritual masters. Guru Sadhu Shastra. That is 16th verse. 17th is a beautiful verse. Today we have a test. So श्लोका रिजर्वेशन कुछ करेंगे बहुत दिनों से किए नहीं और पहले कर लेते 5 बजे तक और 5 to 5:30 or 5:20 will do recitation. So now so Lord may say the fathers, their sons and the brothers who follow the instructions gain fame and happiness. Why do you criticize material desires? Lord may say like that. सबको यश मिलता है, सबको सुख मिलता है. Why are you criticizing all those material desires? What fame, he says, Lord may say, अरे what fame and happiness do the detached devotees have? सब घर बार छोड़ के जो चले गए, they give only sorrow to their fathers. Why are you praising them? What happiness they are getting? They are giving pain to everyone. So he responds in 2 verses. Very beautiful verse. लोकांश लोकानुगतां पशुंश हित्वा श्रितास्ते चरणात् पत्रम् परस्परं त्वद्गुणवाद सीधो पीयूष निर्यापित देह धर्माः.
However, persons who have given up stereotyped worldly affairs and the deeply followers of these affairs and who have taken shelter of the umbrella of your lotus feet by drinking the intoxicating nectar of your qualities and activities in discussions with one another, can be freed from the primary necessity of the material body.
So lokanscha lokanugatamscha. So those who have given up stereotyped affairs and the followers of these affairs, जो कर्मी कर्मी चीजें छोड़े हैं और कर्मी लोगों को भी छोड़े हैं. Just like in other verse says, Shrovid-vara ushtracharai samstutah purusha pashu. Those who are worshipping, those who are themselves like Shrovid-vara and worshipping people like Shrovid-vara. So those who have given up all these things and hitva shritaste charanat patram, they have taken shelter of your lotus feet, O my Lord. Charana atpatram. So here the lotus feet of the Lord are compared to an umbrella. On the lotus feet of the Lord, there is a mark umbrella also. You know? So what is the significance of that mark?
The shelter.
He's giving shelter, his feet are like shelter.
Yeah, shelter from what? From the scorching heat of material existence, from the rains of material miseries. So that is what they are. Yeah, he's saying, Hitva Shutaste Charanat Patram. So this word has come in the 5th chapter also, when the personified Devtas, they are offering prayers to Mahavishnu. After the ingredients are created, sense Devtas are created, और आगे कुछ बढ़ नहीं रहा है, so all these sense Devtas, याद है ना कुछ?
They pray to the Lord.
They pray to the Lord. So in that, the first prayer was that Namamate Deva Padaravindam Praparnatapopasamat Patram. वहां पे बोलते हैं At Patram. Your lotus feet are like the umbrella. So here also umbrella. Hitva Shitaste Charana At Patram. And Parasparam Twad Gunavad Sidhu. And what they do? बाकी कुछ छोड़ने के बाद क्या कर रहे हैं? They are drinking the intoxicating nectar of your qualities and activities in discussions with one another. Parasparam tvad guna vad sidhu. Sidhu means the nectar. Intoxicating nectar. Piyush means nectar. Parasparanukathanam pavanam bhagavati asha mitharati mithatushti nivritti mithatmana. The devotees, when they come together, what they discuss? They don't discuss about all the things which are happening in the world. Which verse in Bhagavad Gita says this? When devotees come together, they discuss.
Bodhayanta Paraskam. Bodhayantasya Mahavidyam.
Christian teacher among teachers.
Machtamadar prana bodhayanta paraspara. So Piyusha, when they drink this nectar, what happens? Niryapita deha dharma. So there is a deha dharma. All the different types of dharmas are there, but deha dharma is also there. They become free from the primary necessities. They don't care about them much. Just like about Prahlad Maharaj, it is described. All his activities were happening in an auto mode. You know, he was eating, he was drinking, he was sleeping, he was taken care of. All of that was happening automatically, and he was being embraced by the Lord. Govinda Parirambhitaha. It's like a small child doesn't even realize कब उसको खाना भी खिला दिया, उसके कपड़े भी हो गए, उसका सब कुछ हो गया, it's like for a child he doesn't have to even think of all these things, it is automatically taken care of. So that is how a person who is absorbed in Krishna, he's not so much concerned about the primary necessities of life. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, because the materialists are like animals, there is no fault in rejecting them. They are already like animals. What is the use of being with them? Lokan, or the Lokan can refer to those who are well versed in logic. And their followers are those who are not well versed in scriptures, who follow their instructions with faith. Both are like animals because they lack bhakti. मतलब in Bhagavatam, nothing less than bhakti is accepted. कुछ भी है, आप भक्ति है क्या? भक्ति नहीं है ना, गए ना. Krishna doesn't like anyone who has no bhakti. आप बाकी कुछ भी कर लो. Just like for a North Indian person, अगर उसको feast के लिए बुलाएंगे आप, and 50 varieties of rice and dosa, सब कुछ है, तो क्या बोलेंगे?
पूरी नहीं है,
चपाती नहीं है क्या?
पूरी नहीं है.
नहीं यार, 50 आइटम बनाया, वो नहीं देख रहे हैं आप? नहीं, रोटी रहेगा, चपाती रहेगा तो अच्छा है ना. That is how Krishna is. Similarly for South India, नॉर्थ वाले के पास सब कुछ, राइस नहीं, राइस और कर्ड नहीं, कर्ड राइस. सो कृष्ण बोले कर्म है, ज्ञान है, भक्ति है. जो भक्ति नहीं है, अरे भक्ति नहीं है तो कैसे होगा फिर? दैट इज व्हाट कृष्ण इज. ही लाइक्स भक्ति ओनली. सो भागवतम मींस भक्ति नहीं है तो रिजेक्टेड. तपस्विनो दानपरा यशस्विनो मनस्विनो मंत्रविदो सुमंगला क्षेमम न विन्दन्ति विनाय दर्पणम. इतना सब कुछ है आपके पास, अर्पण नहीं कर रहे हैं, वेस्ट. एनी अदर वर्ड्स व्हिच सेज दैट? वेस्ट. श्रम एव ही केवलम. कैसे शुरू होता है वो? विश्वक्सेन कथा सूर्य नोत्पायले दृतिम यदि श्रम एव केवलम. पहला लाइन क्या है? एनीवेज, ठीक है. और कहीं आता है, और भी एक है जिसमें अगर भक्ति नहीं है तो एवरीथिंग ऑफ दिस वर्ल्ड इज लाइक अ डेकोरेशन ऑफ अ डेड बॉडी. किधर आता है? एनीवन रिमेंबर्स? इसमें आता है मंडनम लोक रंजनम. भगवत भक्ति हीनस्य, भगवत भक्ति नहीं है, जाति शास्त्र जप तप, इट इज लाइक अप्राणस्य एव देहस्य मंडनम. इट इज लाइक अ डेकोरेशन ऑफ अ डेड बॉडी. उसमें भी आता है ना सेकंड कैंटो वाले में, डेकोरेशन ऑफ द डेड बॉडी, डेकोरेशन ऑफ hands not used in service of the Lord, it is like a dead body. So if they lack bhakti, useless, reject them. Others take shelter of umbrella of your lotus feet. Those who are like animals and do not take shelter must burn in the heat of material existence. Those who take shelter have unlimited happiness. They are drinking the nectar. Others, they go through all these bodily problems. So Prabhupada in the purport also describes. Muni asserts that marriage and other social affairs are stereotyped regulations for persons who are addicted to material enjoyment. But as soon as one engages in Krishna consciousness, he transcends the past and present activities. Man, he takes shelter of Krishna. Entire samsara ceases. Prabhupada quotes this, samsara davana vida loka tranaya karumya. The cloud is compared to the mercy of spiritual master. By the grace of spiritual master, the cloud of the mercy is brought. Mercy of the Lord. And then last few lines Prabhupada writes. Chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord is described as Tvad Guna Vada Sidhu. Only by drinking this nectar, one can forget the intoxication of material existence. Aho Nriloke Piyeta Hari Leelamritam Piban. The first canto is this come. हमने यमराज को बुला लिया, आप चिंता मत करिए, वो भी बैठे हैं इधर. We keep on speaking. Aho Nriloke Piyeta. Please bring this nectar of Hari Katha, Hari Leela Amritam Piban. Okay, he continues. Na te jaraksha bhramayirayuresham avirayuresham त्रयोदशारं त्रिशतं षष्टि परवा तन्नेम्यनन्तच्छदीयत्रिभित्रिनाभि करालस्रोतो जगदाच्छिद्य धावत्
Your wheel, which has three names, rotates around the axis of the imperishable Brahman. It has 13 spokes, 360 joints, 6 rims, and numberless leaves carved upon it. Though its revolution cuts short of the lifespan of the entire creation, this wheel of tremendous velocity cannot touch the lifespan of the devotees of the Lord.
That's how devotees are beyond time. Which another verse? Any other verse we have heard? Devotees, they're not affected by the rising and the setting of the sun. याद किए ना आयुर्हति
Udayanastavi.
Udyanasthanchayannasau. Yes. So that's how a devotee, he is beyond. Only devotee conquers time. No other can conquer time. Chakravarti Thakur writes that. The devotees and no others conquer time. The wheel of the time pursues and destroys the universe. But it does not pursue and destroy the life of devotees. They come closer to the eternal life. This wheel rotates on the axle of Brahman. It is said to be a wheel in a metaphorical sense because of its explicit rotatory motion. So इसमें क्या बोल रहे हैं? It has 13 spokes. What are the 13 spokes? The 12 months and the Adhik Mas. 13th. 360 joints. That is days and nights. And it has wheel rims in the form of 6 seasons, 6 rims, unlimited edges, unlimited seconds. 3 groups of 4 months as the nave. It travels with great speed. So that is how the time factor is described here. हमने पूरा डिटेल में पढ़ा है ना 3.11 the divisions of time. Okay. Translation, next verse.
My dear Lord, you alone create the universe. O personality of Godhead, desiring to create these universes, you create them, maintain them, and again wind them up by your own energies, which are under the control of your second energy, called you, Maya, just as the spider creates a coil, by its own energy, and again winds it up.
In the previous verse, Prabhupada writes in the purport, the time factor cannot affect the span of the devotee's life. The greatest danger is transmigration, and only devotional service can stop. Harim vinana sritim taranti. Without mercy of the Lord, one cannot stop cycle of birth and death. Then Prabhupada writes about Chaturmas and Adhikumas and all that. Okay, in this verse. So the Lord may say, you say that the devotees are fortunate. They are not touched by the time factor in the previous verse. No, the time factor cannot touch the devotees. But you cannot be free of desire. Devotees are fortunate. You are not touched by desires. You are not free of desires. Why do you not fulfill your desires by worshipping devtas? इच्छा पूरी कर लो, देवताओं की पूजा करो, इच्छाएं खत्म हो जाएंगी. Why are you worshipping me? Devatas, they fulfill the desires quickly. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, कहाँ पे बोलते हैं? Why people they go to Devatas? कामैस्तैस्तैरितज्ञाना प्रपद्यन्ते देवता. नहीं, उसमें क्षिप्रम हिमानुषे लोके सिद्धि भवति कर्मजा. People they go to Devatas because Shipram, they get quick results. So यहाँ पे Lord is telling, why don't you go to Devatas and fulfill desires? Ardhamuni in this verse is saying, I cannot see anyone but you who can fulfill the desires. because you are the one who creates, who maintains, and who destroys. You are like the spider. Narad Muni tells the same to Brahmaji. Same bolte hai na, second canto, 5th chapter. You are like Unanabhi. You are like the spider. You are creating, maintaining, and destroying everything by your own power. यहाँ पे आ रहा है. So spider is an example of a self-sustained entity. Does not depend on anyone. यहाँ पे भी 2 बार second time आता है. Krishna Chakravarti Thakur writes. You alone exist. It is your desire alone to create, and there is no one else. It is your desire to create which becomes Brahma's desire. You alone permit him. Brahma ji bhi wahi bolte hain, I am just recreating whatever is already created by the Lord. Srijyam srijami srishtoham. And the last line Chakravarti Thakur writes. The example of a spider is given to show that no one except the Lord performs the creation. I should serve you alone even if I have material desires, since no devatas exist except you. So that's how he is completely depending on the Lord. So he's saying that you are the person who is all glorious. Just like in a war, if a bowman is shooting arrows and with his bow, who gets the glory? The arrow goes and hits the enemy and kills, but who gets the glory? The bowman gets the glory. So whatever the instrument is not so much glorified. The person who is engaging the instrument, he is glorified. So the bowman may not be seen also. So the Lord is not seen, but he is always glorified because he is the one who has put entire world into action. Dravya, kala, karma, subhava, jiva, evacha, vasudeva, paro, na anyo artho asti. Apart from Vasudeva, nothing else exists. So now the Lord may say, well, if that is true, then by my mercy, may you have the greatest wife, sons, enjoyment, and wealth. So in next 2 verses, he gives evidence that the Lord gives benedictions. भगवान वरदान देते हैं कि आप इसलिए आप मुझे भी दीजिए. Translation, 20th verse.
My dear Lord, although it is not your desire, you manifest this creation of gross and subtle elements just for our sensual satisfaction. Let your causeless mercy be upon us, for you have appeared before us in your eternal form, adorned with splendid wreath of tulsi leaves.
So the Lord arranges everything so that the jivas can enjoy. But the ultimate purpose of this creation is so that we can understand that this world is not for enjoyment. But the Lord is so merciful that he is doing all the arrangements so that a stubborn jiva can enjoy. That is how merciful Lord is. Even though he is not listening to the Lord, but still Lord is fulfilling the desires. Srimad Chakravarti Thakur says, O Lord, you do not desire to give these desired things to me, since you think of the welfare of your devotees. The Lord may say, then why do I give those things? Very important. ये बोल रहे हैं आप देते नहीं है because आपको लगता है कि these are not good. Lord may say, then why I give you those things? Kartamani says, if you give material pleasure to us, that is because of our Maya. The ignorant devotee will otherwise be disappointed. Because I ask, you give. Previous verse also, Chakravarti Thakur described, नहीं दूंगा तो फिर ये चला जाएगा छोड़ के इसलिए देते हैं. Lord may say, that is so, then should I give anything? Kardam says, let it be given but only for gaining your mercy. The Lord may say, oh, that devotee has fallen in the darkness of material world. By the happiness I have given him, I will deliver him. It is a responsibility of the Lord to deliver his devotee. So he gives all the material benedictions, but Lord makes sure that the devotee is delivered. In 21st verse, He says, therefore I offer my obeisances unto you, O my Lord. Your lotus feet are worth taking shelter. Namaniya. Any other words like this? Namaniya, worth offering obeisances. Or koi, any other words you remember?
Vikshaniya,
Iktaniya,
Ramaniya,
Ramaniya, Ujjaniya, or Smaraniya, or Sprihaniya, or Darshaniya, or Kirtaniya, और नहीं बाकी है भजनीय भी है, श्रवणीय है, दर्शनीय हो गया, ईक्षणीय हो गया. Okay, ठीक है. So that's how Lord is. Whatever Lord does, that is what. So although the Lord can do anything, still He fulfills the desires of the jivas, because if Lord will not fulfill, the devotee, the living entity will go away from the Lord. So Lord fulfills the desires of insignificant living entities also, so that ultimately they may turn to Him. That is the only hope of the Lord, hope against hope.
But not every time he fulfills.
When does He fulfill? When He does not fulfill?
When it's favorable or good for the devotee, he will fulfill. Not, he will not.
अधनोयम धनम प्राप्य माद्यन उच्चैर नमाम स्मरेत इति कारुणिको नूनम धनम में भूरि ना ददात. सुदामा बोल रहे हैं, क्यों नहीं दिया मेरे को धन? अधनोयम, बेचारा गरीब है, धन दे दूंगा. माद्यन उच्चैर नमाम स्मरेत, he'll become mad with intoxication of wealth, he'll not remember me. इति कारुणिको, that's why merciful Lord धनम में भूरि ना ददात, इसलिए नहीं दिया मुझे. When the Lord thinks by giving wealth to this devotee, He will not forget me, then He gives the wealth. If He thinks भूल जाएगा तो नहीं देते. So that is very simple. Main criteria क्या है? भूलना नहीं चाहिए मुझे. If giving wealth makes one remember Krishna, He'll give. If taking away wealth makes one remember Krishna, He'll take away also.
That means जितने भी ये सब wealthiest person है, they remember Lord.
नहीं, that is not devotional ना, वो तो उनका कर्मिक है.
कर्म.
ये तो यहाँ पे डिवोटी की बात हो रही. डिवोटी को कब देते हैं? डिवोटी को जब भी देते हैं.
इस स्थान पे भगवान कृष्ण जा रहे थे, तो किसी के पास गाय के प्रति बहुत लगाव था, उस गाय को ही भगवान ने करते, उसके
वो तो डायरेक्ट भगवान के पास जाएंगे.
क्या पता नहीं मेरे को स्टोरी.
अर्जुन के साथ ऐसे भ्रमण कर रहे थे, तो एक जगह कहीं मिला जो बहुत अच्छा डिवोटी था, पर उसको गाय से बहुत लगाव था. तो गाय को ही भगवान ने हटा दिया था, तो उसके पास तो एक ही सहारा है, तो पूरा उसको मेरे बीच में से निकाल दिया.
Wow. Complete dependence on the Lord. Somebody was telling me yesterday about Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. Maharaj never took stick and walking stick. Somebody asked Maharaj, क्यों नहीं लेते आप? I don't want that. I'm not depending on anything else. I want to depend on Lord for everything. If I take stick, that means I am taking shelter of the stick. So that is the mood of a pure devotee. So that is how different devotees have their different, ways of reciprocating and depending on the Lord, serving the Lord. That is all, everyone's different perspective. So that's how it is. Okay, it is 5 o'clock.
Yes. Please give us.
एक सेकंड गुनगुन के निकाल एक श्लोक और पढ़ के छोड़ूंगा अभी आप. थोड़ी सेकंड पढ़ के बोलेंगे, बिकॉज वहां पे सेक्शन खत्म हो जाता है. 23 to 32 Lord is speaking to Gardama. Translation 22nd.
Maitreya resumed, sincerely extolled in these words, Lord Vishnu, shining very beautifully on the shoulders of Garuda, replied with words as sweet as nectar. His eyebrows moved gracefully as he looked at the sage with a smile full of affection.
तम आप भाषे Extolled means he, क्या बोलते हैं हिंदी में क्या होगा? Extolled, sincerely extolled मतलब बहुत अच्छे से उनका गुणगान किया. Sincerely extolled in these words means glorified in these words, described in these words. Meaning देखिए extolled का dictionary meaning क्या है? Stam avabhashe vachasa amritena. The Lord replied with words as sweet as nectar.
So he praised enthusiastically.
So praised enthusiastically.
It's a word.
ऐसा नहीं कि अभी जबरदस्ती में बोल रहे हैं, अभी बोलने के लिए लगा है तो क्या करें, कुछ तो बोलना पड़ेगा इस भगवान को. Enthusiastic, devotees enthusiastically praising the Lord. Yes. So the words are like nectar. So whenever the Lord speaks, the words are very grave. Okay, example देते हैं. Whenever the Lord speaks, his words are compared to something. His words are compared to rumbling of the clouds. मेघ गंभीरया वाचा, बहुत बार आता है. When Krishna is telling to Indra, वहां पे भी आता है. छोटे बच्चे हैं वो भी बोल रहे हैं तो मेघ गंभीरया वाचा. This comes many times. Whenever the Lord speaks, he is grave in his voice. Three things are grave: his voice, his navel, and his existence. वो 32 symptoms of a great personality. So CC में आता है. पंच दीर्घ, पंच सूक्ष्म, सप्तरक्त, षडुन्नतः, त्रिरस्व, पितृ गंभीरो, द्वात्रिंशल लक्षणों महान. तो ऐसे 32 हैं. 5 are raised, 5 are broad, 3 are small and all that. उसमें 3 are deep, grave. So यहाँ पे भगवान जब भी बोलते हैं उसमें बहुत सारे हैं. वचसा अमृतेन. In the 4th canto, when Prithu Maharaj is speaking to his citizens, 7 qualities of the Lord's speech are described. Charu, Chitrapadam, Slakshnam, Mrishtam, Gudham, Aviklavam, Sarvesham Upkarartham. Charu means beautiful. Chitrapadam, full of metaphors. Slakshnam means very clear. Slakshnam, Mrishtam, very great. Aviklavam, without any duplicity. Sarvesham Upakarartham, it is for the welfare of everyone. Gudha means it is not very easy to understand. जैसे वो भीष्मदेव बोलते हैं ना, नहीं उसे करे चित राजन, कोई नहीं समझ सकता है, बड़े बड़े नहीं समझ पाए. यद विजिज्ञासया युक्ता मुह्यन्ति कवयोपि. When he says कि अरे यही है सब करने वाले आपके जीवन में. टाइम फैक्टर, who is this time? सर्वम काल कृतम. ये जो है ना सामने खड़े हैं, ये वही भगवान साक्षात, इन्होंने किया है. He is not your maternal cousin. मन्य से मातुलेयम, आपके मातुलेयम नहीं है वो. So he and युधिष्ठिर महाराज में से वेल पूछ लेते हैं ना उनको, बोलते हैं पूछेंगे तो बताएंगे नहीं, और बताएंगे तो आपको समझेगा नहीं. गूढ़म, मृष्टम गूढ़म अविक्लवम. Writes, he does not speak from the material world. Since he is transcendental, his speech is also transcendental. Amrita refers to one who does not need death. The words and activities of the Lord are deathless. They are not manufactured by anyone. The sound of this world and sound of material world are different. Sound of spiritual world is nectarian. Sound of material world is hackneyed. One can chant Hare Krishna whole day. And then Prabhupada writes how Lord glanced with affection. Prema smita udvikshena. The word used is prema smitena. So the Lord's glance is always for showing mercy to his devotees. So that is how the Lord glanced and he smiled and then he started speaking in beautiful words. Okay, so let's stop here.